first of all, a sincere thanks to TEDxMaharashtraCollege for having me over. I must say it is an immense honor and pride for me to be standing here today and addressing this august gathering of like-minded students, of like-minded audience, and the entire platform of Maharashtra College and TEDx. You know, I always wondered that whenever that day comes, fortunate enough when I am being called as a TEDx speaker, actually what I will speak upon. And today is that fortunate day where I have been called, and I can say with great amount of certainty that I have a fair idea that what I will talk about. So introductions first. I am Kailashnath Adhikari. I belong to the second generation in the family, in the media family of Shri Adhikari brothers, or Sub TV, as each and every one of you who watches television popularly knows it as. Now the entire Shri Adhikari brothers venture, or the sub venture. Now the word venture was never there back in the days when this all started in 1980-1985, but nowadays it is a much more used word in the startup world. So the venture was started by my father, Mr. Markan Adhikari, and my late uncle, Mr. Gautam Adhikari, back in the 80s, 1980, 1985, when at that time the only source through television, or the only channel, or the only medium was our national broadcaster, the Doordarshan. And yes, there was print, there were newspapers which could give you news. At the same time, there was cinema where you had to move out of your house, go to a theatre and watch. But sitting at the comfort of your home, having a television set, till a point of time India just had black and white, and then we moved to colour. And the only source that you could get purely for information through TV was Doordarshan. Back in the days, no one thought about entertainment on Doordarshan. There were shows such as Krishi Darshan or other shows which would only give information about farmers, information about various other things. But no one actually thought, what about entertainment? How would the 1.3 billion in this nation, sitting at their homes, at the comfort of their homes, could get entertainment? They work the entire day, they toil, farmers are in the field the entire day. When they come back home in the evening, it's their fundamental right to be entertained, and why not? So back then my father had this idea that, let's try and introduce entertainment on television. Like, television should not just be the source of infotainment, but at one point of time it should also become the source of entertainment. My father and my family come from a very humble background. They are born and brought up in a chawl where my father along with his parents lived with his siblings. And early in the days, like about 1985, he met the Minister for Information and Broadcasting back then in 1985, and proposed the idea that some form of entertainment should come on TV. People should know what entertainment is, because back in the days the definition of entertainment on TV was missing. And he got a very interesting answer that India back in 1985 was a very different country, not how we see it today, not how the youth of the country sees it today. Back in the days, the answer was that country has many problems. It faces problems of unemployment, hunger. How can we even spend money on entertainment? How can someone even think that entertainment could come on television? So then a new idea came up. He proposed that, okay, if the platform cannot invest in entertainment, can you support someone who is ready to invest in entertainment? So what was the idea? The idea was that, okay, Doordarshan has a platform, has a reach to everyone's houses. Let me buy a particular slot of, let's say, 30 minutes of your airtime. I will invest into content. I will make the content. I will make the serial at my own cost. If you give me a 30-minute slot, I will make the content of 24 minutes, and 6 minutes I will earn. If the content works, I will sell advertising and earn. That's how a new concept came of sponsored slot programming on television. And that is when the Adhikari brothers actually began their journey. In 1987, back in the days, in September 1987, through this model, they produced their first Marathi show called Bandhani. Initially, only 13 slots were taken of half an hour. Show was made of 24 minutes, and because the show was so popular that through 6 minutes of advertising, they could not only earn the cost which went into making that serial, but also the certain amount of cost that they used to pay to Doordarshan to get that slot. So that's how in 1987, entertainment began coming into the house of Indians. After that, the journey continued with Doordarshan for about 16 years, and in that span of 16 years, if I take content produced in Hindi, content produced in Marathi, even in Tamil, all put together, the company back then produced content for more than 16,000 hours put together in that span of 16 years. After that, in 2000 came a time where through forward integration, the brothers thought that they could launch their own platform. And that's how India's first humor-centric channel came into birth on 23rd April 1999 called Sub TV. Today, which is not only India's but world's most watched humor brand. And many of you all must be knowing Tarak Mehta Ka Ulta Chashma and must be seeing it, and that comes on Sub TV. So the question in all this comes that where was I? Where was I in all this journey? To speak about myself, yes, I am born in 1990. And when Sub TV was born in 1999-2000, I was barely 10 years old. But the entire business of entertainment honestly enamored me a lot. Since the age of 10, I have been into the habit of analyzing TRPs, analyzing how shows do, how people perceive shows, how the rating comes, and how that comparison has to be made. Because one fine day, I knew that somewhere in the deep, beyond of my heart, I had to get into the business of entertainment. I used to learn a lot from my father. In the morning, when I used to go to school, he used to come to drop me, and we used to have that chat for 25-30 minutes in the morning, where I used to discuss whatever my ideas was as a 10-year-old only. And then he used to teach me on those ideas on how I can actually grow. To talk about my studies, I did my graduation from Narendra College of Commerce and Economics in Bombay, basically in accounting, BCom and MCom. And for my double masters, that is for another masters, I went to the London School of Economics, where I did my Masters of Science in Accounting, Organization and Institutions. I was always academically inclined. As a student, yes, you can call that I was a merit ranker when I was in my college or in my school. Because one fine day, one thing that I also believe that each and every one must know is that even though you have a legacy, even though you have a business that your family has, but always focus on education. Never neglect your education, because at the end of the day, it is that education which you get which gives you that outlook, and no matter what in future holds for you, if you are educated enough, you can earn a living for your own selves. So that was my thinking, that I had to be academically very secure. After doing my post-graduation in accounting and finance from London School of Economics, a great opportunity struck my door. At the age of 23, I got an opportunity to work for the Government of India. Back in the days, there was a body called the Planning Commission of India, today which we call the Niti Aayog. The Planning Commission of India, for everyone, is a body which frames the 5-year plans and policies of our country. I met a gentleman whom I consider as my mentor, and I have deep respect for Dr. Narendra, who was back then, in the year 2013, the member of Planning Commission of India. The Planning Commission of India has various members, and the deputy chairperson back then was Dr. Montak Singh Ahluwalia, and the chairperson of that body is the Prime Minister of the country. I met him, he looked at my CV and he told that, why don't you work for me? You'll be working for the Government of India in an official post as my officer on special duty or as my private secretary. And it was a great opportunity for me. I said a yes, and immediately in August 2013, after coming back from London, I went to Delhi and joined him. That 1 year of working for the Government of India, understanding how policies are actually made. We as citizens sometimes complain or sometimes are not happy with certain things, with certain administrative setup, with certain things how the government does. But being on the other side of the table, being at the place where actually plans are made, where policies were formulated, where budgets were made, I could come to understand that what it goes for the government also to do something, to plan something and to implement it well, in a vast country like India. And that 1 year, I was there for a year only as my job, that was my first job, and there I learned the virtues of not only hard work but discipline, and also a deep understanding of how a society or of how a government actually functions. I was fortunate enough that I got that opportunity, and the office of Member Planning Commission, where I was there as his private secretary, or you can even call it officer on special duty, we looked after Ministry of HRD, which is today called Ministry of Education, Labour Employment, Social Justice, and states of Tamil Nadu, Goa and Bihar. And that became a great learning experience for me. After that, in 2014, I came back to Bombay, joined my family business into entertainment, but not directly with entertainment. Initially, I did something which could blend entertainment, which is my passion, and also what I had learned in my job in the Planning Commission of India about governance. And I look after our publication called Governance Now. We also run, as a company, we also run a magazine called Governance Now. As the name suggests, Governance Now focus on governance issues. The core idea was, when we started that in 2010, that any government is in power, be it for any government it is power. It is for you and me as citizens of this country. At the end of the day, when a policy is framed, be it a food security bill or a Manrega or a Digital India or a Jan Dhan Yojana, if it is implemented well, if the governance is good, then it will benefit the citizens. So with that idea, we framed an entire media outfit, a magazine which would report on governance, whether a policy is working well or whether a policy is working not well. I joined that in 2014 and started a new model under it. I understood that the power of such an outfit or a platform or a magazine is that it reaches to the voice of the decision makers or the policy makers of this nation. Then why not gather them together and have a government and industry dialogue? That's how I started the journey of doing capacity building seminars, wherein we would invite on various government themes such as Jan Dhan Yojana or Digital India, conduct a conclave, invite the government and the officials to speak about that, and all those industrial companies or industries who are interested in having a dialogue with them, giving their suggestions, they would come sponsor, and an entire day-long conclave would get organized. That not only would help in the further branding of the magazine, in getting the brand built up, but also would earn revenue for the company. And in my span of 2014 till roughly to 2018, in about a span of 4 years, we identified, I along with my team, identified various such seminars and did about 60-70 seminars, which not only helped Governance Now become a formidable brand, but at the end of the day, the entire revenue of the company also grew, and the company from making a loss-making one turned into a profitable one. That's how my journey with Governance Now happened till 2018. Now, for anyone, for any person who's an individual, who's into a profession or who's in business, comes a moment in life which actually defines him, that feel that all the hard work that I've put into creating something, has finally paid off. Me, along with my team, we came up when Digital India as a policy came, it was propagated, we came up with an idea to come up with a coffee table book or a compendium or a case book about how companies in India have digitally transformed themselves. Public sector companies, which we call as PSUs, which are owned by the government, we all have a certain pre-notion about them, that they won't be so digitally empowered, or they will still rely on files, papers, huge stacks of papers will be there. Our typical mindset of how a government organization works, but that is not the case. They are more digitally empowered, so to say, than most of the private companies. And we thought that why not capture their real-time case studies. Companies such as Railtel, IRCTC, Air India, Hindustan Petroleum, Bharat Petroleum, they have immense amount of work done in digital transformation. So we met all of them and got their real-time case studies as to how they have digitally empowered themselves, and we made a compendium of 50-60 case studies of how these companies have digitally transformed themselves, and we called it India PSU IT Casebook. Now that day for me, that defining moment for me actually came in 2017, more particularly on 14 June 2017, where this book was unveiled by Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji. I thought that this entire book was made on the vision of Honorable Prime Minister, his vision of Digital India, and it would be great if I got an opportunity to present this book to him. And then I took a leap of faith, approaching the Prime Minister's office, that I wish to present this book to him, and I was accorded one. And that day, still remains vivid in my memory when I myself presented the Governance Now India PSU IT Casebook to Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, at 7 Racecourse Road today, which is called 7 Lok Kalyar Marg, which is nothing but the Prime Minister's residence. After that, in 2018, yes, the entire structure of Governance Now is now rolling. Events are happening. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, the entire business shift to webinar. And in 2018, my focus again, apart from Governance Now, along with Governance Now, I would call, came back into entertainment, which my passion lies. And along with my brother Ravi, we started creating content for today's OTT platforms. Our first OTT web series will now soon be launched on India's most watched OTT platform very soon, in about 2 months' time. So, as we have all seen the movie Dirty Picture, where Vidya Balan says that फिल्में सिर्फ 3 वजह से चलती है, which is entertainment, entertainment, entertainment. And I'd like to say here through this platform to all those people who aspire to be a part of this world that this is a fantastic opportunity, because in India today entertainment as an industry, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone who's listening out there, will touch about 2.2 trillion Indian rupees by 2023, and it's a major contributor of not only to our nation building but also towards employment. Television, print, OTT is growing fast. There is gaming. Gaming as an industry is growing huge. After the pandemic, we saw so many people are glued to just Ludo King. I mean, we never had thought about that, and now everyone knows about that game. That's how the potential of that industry is growing. At the time, we have music, we have theaters now coming back to normalcy. People love going to theaters. That entire 70 experience will never die. So as an industry, naturally it is an industry which strives on entertainment. It is a contributor, a great contributor to nation building. Millions of people are aspiring to come here, and it is not only about the glitz and glamour that this industry provides, but at the end of the day, it is hard work and perseverance that make people successful here. And that is why today it is such a formidable force that each and every one looks up to it as a source of entertainment. And for millions of people, for thousands of crores of people globally, it is also a very important source of entertainment. With that, thank you so much for having me over on this TEDxMaharashtraCollege talk. It was a great opportunity, and from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to thank all the functionaries of Maharashtra College, and also for this particular platform for having me over. And thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Thank you.